Many developers get confused on when to use um, composables or when to abstract code and what is a composable versus what's just kind of JavaScript code. But essentially, how I kind of think about it is a composable is always going to be something that is where you're kind of using the Vue API in a sense where you have some sort of reactive data or things like that, or just reactivity is in play, right? And so I guess I kind of have an example if you guys want to think about it in this way. But essentially, I have these two functions and then some variables here. So again, first things first is sometimes I'll just lay it out, write it all out, and write out my entire component. If it might be that might not be feasible, and sometimes you're already working in an existing component. So whatever you can, just write as much as you can in one level, right? And then go ahead and look at it and see if you can abstract. So in this case, we kind of wrote this out, pretend we're kind of using them, um, and we're trying to figure out, well, what is, so you have to differentiate what's business logic versus what's reusable reactivity logic type of thing, right? And so you can kind of see here, right here, we have a reactive variable that is that you have to think about this like in the future of your project. Could I reuse a counter like this? And in this case, yes, right? Let's pretend for our project we can, and I guess in any other project you would be able to reuse some sort of thing like a counter, right? But in our project we can reuse this. Then I would kind of determine, okay, well, is this what I'm currently trying to abstract? Is it reactive or does it use Vue's API in any way? And yes, it does. I'm using ref, right? I'm creating a reactive variable using ref. So of course, so I could kind of see like, okay, well, this for sure can be its own composable, and so you can abstract this into its own like use counter composable, right? So so that's like one kind of area. This would be the use counter, and then you can kind of go from there. But like then you have something like this where it's just business logic and it's really not anything to do with Vue. And sometimes I even boil it down to, could I use any other framework to then and then just bring this kind of business logic and put in a different framework and still end up using it just fine. And that's true. And this would kind of go more in like a utilities folder or something like that. This would go in a utilities folder. And so, oops. And so then we have the last kind of case here, which is something very specific to the component you're kind of working in. You can see I have a welcome, I'm just making it up, of course, but you have a welcome item reactive variable that's super, super specific to this component. And I don't see myself using it in any other application. So that can stay for sure. That can stay there. And so this is kind of a way to think about when to use a composable and when to abstract. Really, only need to abstract if you are looking to reuse a code. And I guess you can make the argument where you would probably want to abstract just to make this component, let's pretend none of the code is reusable, it's all very tightly coupled, but there's thousands, like maybe 1,000 line component, you just want to abstract it, then yeah, sure, for sure I'd abstract it. And there's probably ways, it specifically in Vue, I'd probably put it very close to the component, as close as I can in terms of the folder structure of the component, to know that, hey, these things are very closely tied to the welcome item component, but aren't but I don't want them inside, just so I can keep the logic easy and interface well with it, right? And so that's kind of a pattern you can use for composables.